Thank you for tuning in to Open a Home Health Agency, brought to you by Global Elites Academy. Hi, my name is Patricia. So last week I gave you the pricing about how to open up your agency, and I also explained to you you can either get IHSS, which are patients who can't afford to pay you cash and the government pays for it. And I told you how to be certified for Medicaid and Medicare patients and how that was billed. So you can listen to that other audio to get caught up. Okay. So in this audio, I want to talk about your structure, your business structure. A lot of people have asked me, how do you, can I open up, can I do it the office from my home? The answer is, if you're opening up a non-medical home health agency, the answer is yes. You can open it up from your own home. What you need to do, though, is have an office that's separate from the house. You can't open it up like it's a kitchen, a office in the kitchen. You know what I mean? But you need to have, like, you can take a bedroom and turn one of your bedrooms into an office, a legitimate office. You're going to need a telephone in there and all of that. Not just, like I said, an office sitting up in the middle of the living room. No, this is a business. So you need to make it look like one. So you need to have an office, wherever you're going to have it in your house. It needs to, look nice, to have desks in there, a file cabinet, and, whatever else you're going to have in there. Now, you may say, what, a file cabinet? That's old fashioned. People keep stuff on a computer nowadays. So let me tell you, to me, the computer, I always want to have a backup. What is going to be your backup? Now, a friend of mine has so much faith in computers, and they act like computers never go down. He put everything on his computer. Then he ended up closing his business, that particular business, down. Then he got a letter from unemployment saying that they needed proof that that the employees were 1099 employees, independent contractors, and that they weren't working, were they working for him, because they were going to charge him make him get the unemployment insurance. When he went to download the agreement that the caregiver had signed for an independent contractor, he couldn't download it. Something about Google and the backup address, I'm not sure what happened, but he couldn't download it. So then he had no proof that this caregiver agreed to work as an independent contractor. And as far as unemployment was concerned, she was a regular employee. So then he had to try to get proof of that. So and when I said to him, why didn't you have a backup plan? Like, if the computer go bad, you had it manual. He said because he remembered me saying that over and over, to make sure you have a file cabinet, or, that you could put things in case your computer went down. He just had so much faith that the computer, I guess, wasn't going to go down like that, until he just trusted it. So he's still in the process trying to fight this, and he might have to end up paying all of that back unemployment. So again, you need to have a backup plan. You don't know when the computer gonna go down, when you can't get in it. I just believe you should have a file cabinet. The other thing is, for Medicaid and Medicare patients, they require that when you close your business, you keep a file of the patients for up to 5 years. So you could keep it on your computer, sure, but if the computer messes up or something, whatever, you can't get it. That's the same thing happened to him. This is an old email address or whatever it is. He can't get in it. They're trying to send him a code to the backup email, but he can't get in it. So the bottom line is, if you need to close your agency for whatever reason, And the state, when you're Medicaid, Medicare certified, and then the state requires that you keep that information for 5 years, how are you going to keep it? Now, if you say I'm going to keep it on my computer, okay, but what is your backup plan? So to me, like, I want to keep it. I have everything in my file cabinet. I make a file cabinet. I mean, files for the patient, and I make files for the caregiver. And so anything that I need is going to be on that. I may keep it on my computer, but I may not. Then the computers weren't even up that much. I closed my business or sold my business in 2018, 2019, around that time. I opened in 2012. So the computers were there. People were, we were using computers and everything, but I just like the manual as well. So I never did keep the patients or the employees' files on my computer. I always kept them in my file cabinet. So just think of what backup plan that you're going to use. Just in case your agency closes for whatever reason and you need to keep those files for 5 years. That is what Medicaid, Medicare requires. Okay. So, all right. So you can't have an office in your home, like I said. It needs to be, like any other business, a private place. You need to be disciplined to get in your office at the opening times. If it open at 9, you need to go in there at 9. And you need to not come out your office until your office closes. If it closes at 5, then 5. You need to be able to take lunches, not take, because I'm at my house, I'm going to take a 2-hour lunch. You have to be really, really disciplined. Because I'm going to tell you, I used to go in I had both. I've had a regular office and then my own office at home. So when I had the office at home, I was just very disciplined. I got up at 9 o'clock in the morning and went right into my office. Sometimes I didn't even take lunch. And sometimes for dinner, I had to make myself come out. The office closed at 5. I didn't usually get out of my office till 1 o'clock in the morning. I always had stuff to do. And then when the days that maybe I didn't have to stay till 1, I had to make myself come out at least by 7 so I could eat dinner. I don't think I ever came out of my office at 5 o'clock because I really did have a lot of stuff to do. When you have a business, you can always find something to do in your business. And usually you're going to stay more hours if you're disciplined like that. If you're not disciplined, then, it's going to be hard for you to run a business from your home. You're going to need an office because you can't be like, oh, I'm at home. Let me go in here and watch my stories. Or your friend calling and you on the phone talking to your friend for 2 hours when you're supposed to be in your office working. So you can't do that. That's not business at all. And you're never going to make any money like that. Because you're doing leisure things on business hours. How can you make money? You can't. So if you're going to have a business in your home, be disciplined enough. Be disciplined enough to be able to do business during work hours and not be having pleasure during work hours. Okay? The other thing is the structure of your business. Most people like to always open up LCCs. I'm not sure why. I like corporations, and let me tell you why. Because with my corporations, I can give out shares, first of all. If I want to give my daughter 25 shares in my company, I can. Give my granddaughter 10 shares, I can. Also, it's good for raising money. If I got in a bind and I need to raise money, I can give somebody 30 shares for $100,000. It depends on what your company is worth. But I can do that. I don't know if I'll give them 30 shares, but I might could give them 15 shares for $100,000 or 10 shares, something like that. Again, depending on what your company is worth. The other thing is your company can go public. Now, it is not cheap to put your company public. I think the lawyer alone costs like $100,000. And then they have to go through whatever they need to go through to put it public. But if you put your company public this morning at 8 o'clock, by 4 o'clock, your company could be worth a lot of money. Martha Stewart, but it was because of her fame. I don't know what her business was worth at 8 o'clock in the morning, but it sure wasn't no million. By 4 o'clock that afternoon, she was a millionaire or a billionaire. I can't remember which one they said, but she was worth a lot of money. But Martha Stewart was famous. That probably helped. She was on TV. That probably helped make her business. But you get the gist of what I'm saying. You could put your business up in the morning. It's still going to be worth a hell of a lot more by 4 o'clock when those bells stop ringing on Wall Street. So you could just do a lot of things with it. Plus, you're insulated. Nobody can sue you when you have a corporation, too. Now, they can't sue you with an LLC either. But you can't do all those things I just named with the LLC. But with the corporation, you can. It's good if you're planning on keeping, where you're going to have generational wealth. Because you could give, let's say, your daughter 5% of that stock. And she hold on to that 5%. For, in 5 or 10 years, that 5% was worth nothing, and it's going to go up to maybe be worth millions in just 5 or 10 years, that little 5% she have. So that's why I like to open up corporations. Corporations, you need a board of director, a secretary, a treasurer. But now to start off, you could be all that, because usually to start off, I'm all of that. Like one person could be all of those jobs. And you have to have a meeting with yourself, quarterly or once a month or whatever you set for your company. And you could be taking the notes in your own company. You don't have to do that for an LLC. And I definitely would not be a sole owner, individual owner, because then, you're not insulated and you could be sued. So the only two things structure that you're really looking at is either corporation or LLC. Individual, like I said, you don't want to do that because then you're not protected from being sued. So it does good to always contact your tax person to ask them what benefits you can get by filing as a corporation or by filing by LLC. Because that's what most people are going to look at. What are the tax benefits? So you need to talk to people or talk to your tax person about the structure of your business. I'm just giving you, like the basics. Okay, thank you so much. Tune in next week and we will continue how to open your non-medical home care agency. Thank you. Have a good week.